Hi, Zach from GawkBox here. We are fresh off of the E3 hype this week on GawkBox interviews. There were so many great games at E3. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as we did. We got to see new games from Bethesda. We got to see Fallout and a new Elder Scrolls game. So exciting. Cyberpunk 2077 looks super exciting from Nintendo. We've got new Pokemon games. We've got a new Smash Brothers with all the characters in it. It's amazing, and there's so much going on here in our little gaming world. We hope that you had half of the fun that we did watching E3 around the office. It's really spectacular. But to the point, this week on GawkBox interviews, we're going to be talking to Tim, who goes by InsertCoinTheater on Mixer. He has some of the most interactive streams on Mixer. They're so high energy, they're so fun. All of the buttons on his channel do all sorts of different and exciting things, and he's got a bunch of games set up to promote this sense of community around his streams. And he uses all of this interactivity, all of these interactive elements, not only to bring more people, more subscribers and followers into his stream, but to build this sense of community and keep them around and keep them coming back. And because of that, he's one of the most fun streamers to watch on Mixer right now. I think I absolutely love his streams. So we're going to sit down, we're going to talk to Tim about how he maintains this level of interactivity, some of the tools he uses, and things like that. So be sure to stick around, give that a listen. It's a great interview. So let's jump right in. Oh yeah, that's looking real good. Awesome, man. Thanks for getting home and sitting down in front of the computer to have a little interview with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. I'm just recovering from all the E3 announcements. I've been trying to watch it as closely as we can. We've got a couple TVs floating around the office, so it's always nice to like have it on and turn around and be like, oh my God, is that, what game is that? And there's like no audio, so I'm like scrambling to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I did 4 commentary streams for the different press conferences.
Yeah.
I did Bethesda, Sony, Microsoft, and PC Gamer 1.
Those streams are so much fun. I don't know what it is about E3 especially, but there's always such an accelerated sense of community where everyone just is like, wah, reacting at the same time and all that. It's so great.
It's great. It's like Christmas. It's like gamer Christmas.
It is. It literally is. Who do you think won E3 this year? It's probably Bethesda, right?
You know, Bethesda had such a bad start to their conference that I don't think so.
I only saw... Honestly, I didn't see the whole thing in full because it caught me by surprise. It was on what was it, last Thursday or something?
Like
it totally caught me by surprise, and I was like, oh, the first thing I saw was like a recap, and I'm like, damn it, I missed it. So I only saw the good bits.
Okay.
What was so bad towards the beginning?
Because they started out with a Rage 2 thing, but okay, so it's a press conference, and they started out with an Andrew WK concert, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you should have seen the audience. The looks on they were just so bored and confused.
It's very like 2007.
They honestly all looked like, why are we in the right theater? Are we going the and then after that, like they had like all their boring stuff. So they had like Elder Scrolls Legends and Elder Scrolls Online and the energy was just non-existent. And then Todd Howard walked in and saved the whole thing.
Okay.
So the only reason they succeeded was because of Todd Howard.
Yeah, and Todd we trust, as always.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. And it was one of those things that was kind of like, if they had just like either put him in the middle between Elder Scrolls Legends and Elder Scrolls Online, it would have been perfect. But they killed their momentum from the get-go, and it was brutal. And then it hit Todd Howard's part, and we were just all like, oh my God, so.
Makes sense. You gonna play Fallout 76 when it comes out?
Absolutely. I already pre-ordered the Brotherhood of Steel Armor Edition.
Ooh, yeah, that helmet looks so cool. I'm usually not a special editions kind of guy because I would have so much junk around my house, just like miscellaneous video game stuff. Some of them don't even come with the game nowadays, and I don't mean to rant too much. I might even put this in the whole podcast because this has been a great conversation so far. It's not usually how it goes, but some of these special editions now are coming without the game. Have you seen that? Yeah. It's the most preposterous thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's the worst.
Which one was that? The Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah,
right?
it's $100 and it doesn't come with the game.
For no
I don't care what you put in there. Put the game in there. What are you doing?
Yep.
It's like Rockstar.
Don't sell it as any kind of an edition of the game. Sell it as a separate like merchandise box or something. Like they
Just
labeled
blown
it
away.
as the Red Dead Redemption 2 special edition collector's box.
Yeah.
But rather than do that, like just don't. It was very misleading.
Yeah. Oof.
It was very
BS.
misleading.
It's BS. I mean, usually $100 would be like a good price for all that, but man, without the game, you got to be joking my ass. All right, so first of all, we had a great time. Mr. Insert, I don't know if I should call you InsertCoinTheater, InsertCoinTim, or just Tim. What do you?
Call me Tim. Yeah,
I'll call
Tim
you
is
Tim.
preferred, yeah.
Your mixer name is InsertCoinTheater. I only feel that I should mention that at the top of the show so people watching would be like, oh, that's who that guy is. Go to your channel and all that. But we had a great time watching your stream the other day. We were trying out some new giveaway stuff, and it was a great time. I think you would let us know that you were expecting like between 40 and 60 people like in your chat hanging around. We log in, we check out your stream, and there's like, what, 150 plus people in there. It was awesome.
A little bit of an unexpected night.
It was great.
Yeah,
it was a total
pretty
party.
crazy, like the whole time.
And that sort of spurred on the idea of having you on this series. I mean, I'd been thinking of having you on this series for a bit, but the actual tangible idea of what I wanted to talk about with you. Just a quick intro. What I have been trying to do with this series, if you haven't been able to see any episodes, or to people listening or watching who haven't been able to see any episodes, is I'm trying to collect the most valuable information from streamers, from mixer streamers who are sort of really good at certain aspects of streaming. So we talked to like Damn It Rooster about building a personal brand, something that he's very good at. He's got this whole style about him. Talked to Big Hungry last week about like working with sponsors and how to like navigate sponsorships and stuff like that. So the thing I wanted to bring you in after watching your slam dunk of a stream was how to best organize a stream for interactivity, how to sort of optimize for interactivity. I think you use the features that Mixer has to the best of their ability, like everything from the interactive to all the buttons and all the features you use. So I'd love just to dive into how you got your streams to that point and the benefits that you see from making your stream interactive. So I guess the first question, just to kick that off, would be what's your overall setup? Like, what overlays do you use, and like what's your broadcasting software? What bots do you use?
So my setup is a little different. I use XSplit primarily as my streaming software.
Interesting.
I'm an XSplit elite, so I'm actually partnered with XSplit.
Cool.
And great piece of software. Absolutely love it. Does everything I need it to, and it has a great update schedule and has a ton of awesome features that I love. So
awesome.
I'm pretty sold on it. With that, I use for a bot, I use Mix It Up. It's a newer bot, and it's a mixer only bot that it does a lot of really robust things, from integrating with GawkBox, which is fairly unique, I think, in the bot scene, which I love. I love that feature because
I'm glad. Awesome.
He was able to grab the sticker they picked, so I can actually inject that into my own overlay, and I use a custom overlay that handles all of my interactives, all of my events. I actually have I use Mixer's code engine called Karina. It's a JavaScript library that lets you hook in and subscribe to events, like subscriptions and things like that. And so all of my events are triggered separately from the bot. So if the bot crashes, my events still show up on stream, and vice versa. If that overlay crashes, hopefully the bot, just to give me some redundancy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's all a custom overlay. So everything is injected into more or less just like it's all injected into a database and run through as events. And so it makes everything happen in a very timely manner, and it happens in order. So you'll never see like a follow alert happening while one of my interactives is going. So they don't flick. And the idea is so that everybody gets their moment in due time.
Absolutely.
And there's no confusion or insanity on the screen where it's just completely unwatchable, because that does happen on some streams where they have like heavy interactive features with on-screen things, and
absolutely,
and the like.
It gets nuts.
Sometimes it can just be completely unmanageable and almost unwatchable.
Sure.
So those are my main tools, and I utilize Mix It Up's overlay as well for a couple of things. But primarily I utilize my own my own overlay. And then I use
Nice.
Mix It Up for my interactive. So my interactive is done my Mix Play, which is the new name for it, I guess. So we gotta use the new branding.
I said interactive earlier. I totally meant mixed play.
Yeah.
It's not in my head yet. I got to get there.
Yeah, and me either. I still call it interactive.
Right.
So, but my Mix Play is set up that it's a set of buttons below the screen. They now have like buttons. You can do buttons on the side of the screen of the actual video, and you can do actual on-screen effects. Like the developer of Mix It Up was working on an overlay, and he actually got it to so people could draw on his screen, and it would share it with everybody in the stream. So that sort of stuff
That's awesome.
Is feasible now, which is really, really cool, and it gives you a lot of flexibility and power. And so I utilize just buttons below the stream, mainly because it keeps it kind of separated out. I haven't really looked too much into mixed plays on-screen features. I haven't really wanted to go that far yet.
Okay.
But it gives the ability for people to hide it if they don't like it, you know, that sort of thing. But it also, you know, gives you all that space to kind of move your buttons around and set it up the way you want to set it up.
Absolutely. Cool. You just covered a whole ton of stuff, and that's awesome. And it really details like just how much work and how many tools you have to work with to set up something so interactive. You also touched on something that I think is super important when it comes to interactivity, which is letting people who participate have their time in the sun, right? Like these alerts shouldn't conflict no matter what they are. And I do want to get to that in a second, but before we do that, I want to break down for maybe people who are newer streamers who are just like coming to the world of streaming. They're like, man, maybe, you know, they caught one of your streams and they're like, he was doing all this crazy, you know, stuff, and I have no idea how any of it works. So if we could just walk through it quickly, bit by bit, what is the utility of a bot for a streamer, and why would you go with Mix It Up specifically compared to other ones? I know it's a newer one, like you mentioned, and it's got some really unique features, but I'm curious as to just like what the light explanation of that is.
Yeah, so bots give you a lot of power and flexibility. Everything from moderation tools, where you can add your own word filters, to setting up events and things like that, where you can capture if there's a donation via GawkBox or Streamlabs or something similar. Or, you know, what's really cool about Mix It Up is it links into a ton of different services, including like Tiltify and things like that. So you can actually track donations from those too.
Sure.
But that said, a bot in general gives you the ability to interact with your chat in a way. They can do commands for sort of self-service. Like if they're looking for your gamer tag, the generally accepted command for that is !GT. And sometimes people will just come in and !GT to see what your gamer tag is, and then they'll follow you on Xbox or whatever. So it gives kind of like a commonality between streams, and also gives a lot of self-service ability to the viewers.
Sure.
Add to that, it gives you things like currencies and ranks, so people can. It's kind of like little badges. Like in my stream, I have two currencies. I have tokens, because my whole theme is the arcade. So we have tokens. And so tokens are used for buying what I call gashapon, which in Japan they're little capsule toys.
The capsule, yeah.
But in it's pretty much a loot box in essence.
Sure.
And they just buy it with in-stream currency that they earn from watching or playing the mini games. Which right now I have the coin pusher, which is like the coin dozers in arcades, and then I have DDR, which is like Dance Revolution.
Yeah.
You can do a tournament with other people, and it's winner take all.
Wow.
And
You've
so
got a lot of games set up. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and I've got other things too, but I don't want to waste too much time.
No, it's super interesting.
The secondary currency is tickets, and you get the tickets from the from the loop, and you can use those to do something different. And those take a lot longer to accrue. If you're a subscriber to the channel, you get a free one every stream, so you'll get it at a more accelerated rate. And you can use those to do things like spin the wheel, and the wheel has all sorts of like punishments on it, like I have to eat like a really gross jelly bean or something sour or whatever, which my viewers love. And then there's with the tickets, you can also if you save up enough of those and you're a subscriber, or in general, you can actually get a one of my emote slots is for the community. You can purchase it for 2 weeks using tickets, and you get your own emote on Mixer for 2 weeks.
Wow.
By using tickets. And of course I have to approve it, so you can't do something appropriate, but
of course.
But ultimately it's a way for you to have, if you're not a streamer, or you're not at the point not ready for partnership yet, you could have an emote for at least a couple weeks.
Wow.
So
super cool.
Yeah. So it gives you a lot of flexibility and a lot of power that you can do all sorts of really cool stuff with, and pretty much the sky's the limit. And the reason I picked Mix It Up is mainly because I love the interface. I love the way everything's laid out.
Yeah.
I used ScortBot for a long time. It's a great bot.
Sure.
Scorpio is a great developer and a great guy.
Right.
And he does an awesome job with that bot. But it is both Mixer and Twitch. And I noticed Mixer and Twitch splitting it two ways means it's doing both of those things less than perfect.
Sure.
And for Mix It Up, it is focused solely on Mixer. Right. And so it does the interactives really well, and they've got some growing to do on that, but it's being developed really quickly, but it is very Mixer centric. Right. And so it does a really great job of capturing all the Mixer stuff, like you can sort by pro users, you can sort by subscribers, you can do all sorts of stuff that are really, really different and unique that ScortBot may not be able to accomplish without a lot of workarounds or hacking.
Yeah, of course.
Of the bot. Right. So I know the developer. The developers, Tyron Savior and Verbatim. They're great guys, and they work really, really hard. So
we actually we had to talk to them to get we didn't have to talk to them, of course. It was a pleasure to talk to them to get the integration set up, and we've been working closely with them. I agree, they're awesome dudes, and they're super great to work with. Okay, so that's awesome. It's been really cool, definitely, to see bots progress from. I mean, they used to just call them chat bots, right? Because that's what they were. Yep. They would start just keeping people from being like racist or cussing in your chat, and now they do so much more, from being able to customize your alerts to do all these things, and it's really important, and it's cool to see how far that you've been able to take them specifically, and it's super exciting for us to see, like, just to use our platform as an example, we've got all these different stickers and all these different little like ways to donate and different ways to send alerts, and for you to be able to like customize them to your own liking is awesome, and we definitely want to see more people getting into that sort of thing. As far as all of like the games you've got set up, the gachapons, and I forget the other names of the games that you had mentioned. I feel like they all had names that were over my head, except for DDR.
It's like DDR, the Coin Pusher, and then I have a mini thing called the Volcoino machine as well, which is its own beast.
So you've got so many things set up. What do you see as like the advantage of that? Does your community engage with it, and does it net you more followers? Does it net you just like more things going on in your chat? What is the benefit that brings to you?
Well, ICT, InsertCoinTheater, is, I call it ICT all the time because it's much easier for me.
Sure.
But ICT is first and foremost a community. I may be the streamer, but ultimately the idea is that we all get to know each other and just have a good time with each other, even if it's poking fun at my poor game. Sure. And these things don't necessarily bring in followers. Generally speaking, that's the interactives, and we'll get to those, I think, a little later, because they're not necessarily bot specific. They're just interactive parts. Right. But these are all like chat-based interactions, right? They're not. They don't use the buttons. They don't use. They're not using mixed play. They are separate. They're chat only. Right. But they don't necessarily grab followers. Or really any of that. They're just there to give chat a way to interact with the bot, and to give them something to do outside of just staring at me, or just more things for them to do. And of course, having the ability to get tokens, which lets you in turn get the gashapon, which lets you in turn be able to use also one of the tickets things lets you use text to speech if you're a subscriber. Wow. So they'll either like use text to speech and and make fun of me because I use I use the Japanese voice. And so it has that really excellent Japanese accent, and it'll just call me a baka or whatever. And it's pretty funny, and things like that, and or they can spin the wheel and make me punish me in a way, and it's not really punishment. It's all a big joke, right? Like, yeah, of course, it doesn't hurt, and it's not like I'm it might. How nasty those jelly beans get, though. It might hurt. Oh, they get bad. They get bad. Yeah. But that said, it's another way for them to interface with me and with each other, because they share the experience. If someone buys a wheel spin with their tickets, that's a shared experience because everybody sees it and everybody benefits from that. And amazing. TTS is the same way. Everyone hears it. So it's not necessarily a way to get new followers, because it does take a while to earn those tickets, but it is a way to reward people for coming back and being part of
Yep, that makes perfect sense. I can see how that would be a community building thing, and maybe people are like grabbing clips when really funny things happen, and they're like, "Oh man, that was awesome! I can't believe that happened." And I can see how that would help build a community. You mentioned the interactive, and that's something that I think some people utilize, some people underutilize, some people are sort of confused by and don't know how to like manage sparks. I've seen new streamers where it just ends up being very noisy, where there's a lot of like irrelevant things going on. How do you're interactive, and I'll let you explain it in a bit, but it's really well done. Every button, the cost seems tuned pretty nicely, and you've got like really interactive and pretty funny things that happen with each of the presses of the mix play rather. But I'd love to hear it out of your mouth what your secrets are for setting up your mix play.
Yeah, so the way that I kind of envisioned my interactives when I sat down to do it, my mix play was going to be something that was had longish cooldowns, but would be something that would take up a good chunk of the screen. And how to achieve that without like literally covering the entire screen was not easy. I had to figure out how to get because what I wanted to do is I have like a real passion for like really silly music and things like that. So like Ninja Sex Party, if you've ever heard of them.
Sounds familiar.
I use some of their songs as part of the clips that I do. And so I found out a way to get, to drag all this stuff into Premiere and get it edited and make it with an alpha layer so that I could actually have it on screen. And it's like me, I like pop up in like 4 different places doing something different, or it's just really like over the top, silly, ridiculous things that like are so out of context and so I don't know how else to explain it, but weird.
Yeah, no, it's great though. It's hilarious. We were all sitting in the office, sitting like right around here, watching you on that screen, actually, just like laughing our asses off as like people clicked on the different things, and then you get to interact with them too, and then there's like hype in the chat and all that. So
and the idea is that every button that is hit, regardless of any of those buttons that are hit and have an on-screen component, they're important because somebody spent their sparks, which means that they've spent their time to earn those sparks. Maybe not my channel, but in general, they've earned those sparks. And if somebody hits a button, they deserve to have that honor. Right. And sparks don't have any intrinsic value, but they do represent time spent. Right. And whether you're, a subscriber to my channel where you get double sparks and experience for watching my stream, or you are a pro user where you get double sparks and experience across the site, it doesn't really matter because you still spent the time to earn those sparks. Even if you're a subscriber to another channel, you've never been to my stream before, like say you go to my Boomstick, one of the awesome Fortnite streamers who uses GawkBox as well. Yeah,
we love him.
And you go to his channel and you sub to him and you watch him, religiously, and then one time he ends and you see me live and you pop into my channel and you start spending all your sparks on my interaction. That is absolutely okay. Those are just as valuable to me as you getting them in my stream. Awesome. You hit the button. You took the time to hit the button and interact with what I created. So I should at least give you the time of day to
respond to it. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
and
awesome.
So not all of mine I interact with directly, but they're over the top enough that they kind of stand alone. But I have one that's that is called a cool break. And then
that was my favorite one.
And, everyone really likes
I clicked
that
on
one.
it like twice. I love that one.
And pretty much what that is I put myself center screen. And it's the song. Sorry, computer fell asleep there.
No worries.
Trying to think which song it is. It's an NSP song. And I'm just drawing a blank right now. It's been a really long day.
I guess people have to watch your stream and figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm gonna get made fun of by Berger and by Justin for this, for forgetting, because it just honestly has left my brain. But that said, I go center screen and then it does this thing where it's like a little song part, and I tell everyone to get their shades on, and I put on some sunglasses, and then I dance around like a loon, and then like 4 or 5 of me pop up on the screen during the whole course of it, and I dance with myself. And chat will engage and they'll dance too, and you'll see them do little dance emotes and stuff. And that's where it comes into what you've done is you've created a moment for everything. And it's about creating moments, and it's moments that are memorable. So when that happens, when a cool break happens and someone's new to the stream and they see all these people engaging, they're like, I want to do that too. And so that's a great way to get people in the door and to say, what was that? You know, and I get that a lot. They're like, what the hell? You know, that sort of thing. I get that a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's one of my interactives, man. Hit the buttons, hit them. And you know, they have I average my time cooldowns are about 7 minutes for the short one.
Wow.
And then 15 minutes for the really long. And then cool breaks on its own cooldown because it's cool.
Sure.
So I try to keep it so it's not constantly going, but I try to keep it so that it flows enough that people can go, oh, I get it.
Yeah. That's
and
amazing.
So, and then I have another set that is all sound effects, and it's just little simple one-shot sound effects that you can hit, and it's like 100 sparks. They're not super expensive, and they're a 45-second cooldown, and you know, people can just do those. And I have them that are, I try to make them so that they can react to me in a way. So like if I say something stupid, I have one that's Al Borland from Tool Time, if you remember that, or Home Improvement, if you remember that show.
Yeah, it's a bit of a throwback, but
and he goes, I don't think so, Tim. And my name's Tim. So, you know, I have that on there, and every time I say something like a stupid joke, someone will hit that button and it just goes, I don't think so, Tim. And I'm like,
amazing.
I do think so. So, you know, that sort of thing. So it gives them a way to interact in ways that you can't do on a traditional, for example, like YouTube, like a YouTube stream.
Right.
You can't get that. It's not a thing. You know, it's not quite as easy to do. And not knocking YouTube, of course.
Absolutely.
This is a unique thing that is really powerful and has a lot of value to it for growth.
Awesome. Yeah, I think, like I mentioned earlier, I think the Spark system, especially after seeing what you do with it on your channel, is underutilized across a lot of streams. And it's, I mean, in the past, it's been hard to set up, right? If I was like coming right into the game, it's like, I don't even know how to set this up. But it's really cool to see just how people can interact with you without spending money, just spending time watching your stream and earning that. Quick question: is there any like value to Sparks to your channel at all? Do you collect them somewhere on the back end of your sort of channel and be able to say like, hey, I collected this many, and that's valuable for some reason?
No. When Sparks are spent, they go into the they just so you spend Sparks and they go bye. They're gone. Sparks are just a way for you to it's just a site-wide currency that doesn't have any real value. They were kicking around ideas for a while about giving it value, to have like a Sparks store where you could like purchase physical items or even digital items using it. And that was like all theoretical, and it was something that we were all hopeful for, but nothing really came of it. But it doesn't really do much outside of letting you kind of say kind of gather metrics on Sparks spent and, you know, what people are spending them on. And I use the analytics, and over a 4-month period, there were 8.1 million Sparks spent on my interactives.
So there is a number there that you can say like, hey, these many people have chosen to interact with my channel. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And you can gather analytics. You just can't do anything with the Sparks outside of it. It doesn't go into like my Sparks collection or anything like that, unfortunately, because I'd be a billionaire in Sparks by now. But
no, that's amazing. That's so cool. All right, man. I think you've given a lot of just like killer advice here. This is some of the best I've heard. Especially, I love that when you said that all these interactive things, even if you don't get any financial gain from it, that it's creating the moments with these people, and that's what draws new people in and keeps them around. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
As far as tying things that are monetized, right? I know a lot of people aren't in streaming for money, and the industry, as it's like going that way, and as we're trying to help mixer streamers and streamers in general go in that direction, where they don't have to like cram it into the end of their day, and maybe someday it could be a full-time job. How do you manage things that are monetized and tie that into your whole interactive suite without them seeing overbearing or selling out or anything like that?
That's the ultimate challenge. One of the big things with bots is having good timers. You want to have timers that are triggered not only by time, but also by the amount of things said in chat. So the way I have it set it up is, as long as there were 15 messages in the last, and 10 minutes have elapsed, you can post the next timer post.
Right.
Otherwise, if no one talks in your chat, which happens to some streamers, it used to happen to me all the time until I started growing to a point that I'm at now.
Sure.
10 minutes would elapse and you wouldn't have anyone talk. And you don't want it to just constantly be posting things in your chat, because then it looks like, literally no one talks.
Right.
So you want to make good timers that cover everything from reminding people to follow, because people forget.
Right.
believe it or not, people don't remember to follow.
Sure.
So it's very important to remind people to do that with your with your chat timers. To remind people for things like GawkBox, to let people know that you utilize it. Links for donations, because Xbox folks can't look at your channel, so they have to have reminders. So on Mixer specifically, you got to remind them in chat and verbally, if you really want them to know what's going on with that.
Sure.
And also, of course, your social media stuff, YouTube, Twitter, all that stuff. You want to remind people that that's there, and they'll engage with it at their leisure, and you're not being overbearing. Now, if you're like spamming messages or whispering directly, that's a no-no. But as long as you're putting reminders out there and you can gently remind people every half hour or hour or whatever, like, hey, go check out my GawkBox. You can tip for free. It won't cost you a dime. And you go into the whole spiel. It's not harmful to make sure that you're getting it across that that's an option, because people don't know what they don't know, and you have to explain.
Right.
So when it comes to interactives, I have buttons for all of those things too, such as YouTube, which YouTube, when you click it, it does send a whisper, so it doesn't clutter chat. And the reason being is because if you click that, you're interacting directly with it. It's not unsolicited. You solicited the button. So you hit it and it whispers you directly. So that's like the only like caveat to any of that is if whispers are almost always unwanted, unless of course unless there's an interaction there where they hit the button themselves. If they initiate, it's okay to whisper. That's kind of the understood methodology behind it. Other than that, like things like GawkBox, I have an interactive that triggers through Mix It Up. When you click it, it'll show the leaderboard, as well as it plays video, which was made by someone really awesome at GawkBox. Wink, wink. Yeah, that was it. I'm
working on my Adobe skills. They're not perfect yet, but I'm working on it. Premiere.
I
forgot the name
of the program.
So
that video appears right above the leaderboard when you hit my leaderboard thing. So the leaderboard appears and it plays a video that tells you exactly how to donate. And of course, there's no sound on it. That plays. It's just nice. It's small enough that it doesn't take up a ton of real estate on the screen, because I'm a big proponent. I'm huge on managing your screen real estate. So I try not to let it get too crazy, because if you have too much on screen, you have too much going on and it's distracting.
Yeah.
So that video is pretty small, but because you made the words bigger, I can have it relatively small and it's very readable, even at a smaller resolution. So
very cool.
It really adds a little bit to it, because it goes through real quick, and the button itself is on like a 7-minute cooldown or something, 7 or 8 minute cooldown. Right. So that it's not always being spammed, but they can trigger it at their leisure, and then it shows everyone how to do it. So that's a really good thing. Having stuff on screen helps a ton.
Got it.
Again, you don't want to overdo it. I usually try to only have 4 permanent overlay elements up at any time. I have my sub goal, my dono goal, my stream boss, which is a Streamlabs thing, and then my camera. And that's all that I ever want to have permanently on the screen. Outside of that, you can have temporary things like the leaderboard and that video, or my interactives and things like that. So it's really important to manage that, as well as making sure that your interactives make sense and do useful things.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. That's all great advice. It makes a whole lot of sense. One last question for you: if there was one key thing that every streamer should have set up, what do you think that would be? Maybe it's something that new streamers don't have set up, or a lot of people in general don't have set up. What's your best kept secret?
It's a really good question. The one that stumps me is the last one.
I know. Well, it was sort of vague.
Yeah, but I think people really underestimate the value of setting up your bot correctly, because one thing that people don't seem to realize is that it's very easy to scare off a new. Viewers are skittish. It's just how it is. Yes, because one of the things I learned really early on was that if you have a bot set up that as soon as a new person, someone who's lurking, doesn't even engage in chat, comes into your stream and they get a whisper, they will leave 95% of the time.
Yeah. Or even if it prints in the chat. I've seen that too.
What's that?
Or even if it like prints in the chat when they show up, that'll make me leave. If it's like, welcome to the chat, I'm like, oh, didn't expect that.
Absolutely. You don't want to get called out.
And
It's such a thing, because some streamers are so adamant about holding on to that. And like my biggest advice when you set up a bot, do not whisper lurkers. Lurkers gonna lurk. That's the phrase. That's the saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let them just watch.
Yeah.
Let them engage at their own pace. If you by messaging them directly or calling them out, you are forcing engagement, and that doesn't make anyone feel good. Like if you're walking across the street and someone shouts out, "Hey, what are you up to?" You're like, "Don't talk to me. I don't know you." You know. So you don't. It's the same concept. Like you just don't. You got to be respectful of the viewers, and they'll respect.
That's great.
And I think that's really important advice because bots are often misconfigured to whisper on entry, and that always, because I try to check out small streamers. I love to raid new folks that I've watched a little bit of their content, and my preference is to raid people smaller than I, because bigger streamers they don't necessarily need it as much as somebody smaller, and you know, you just gotta spread the love, right? And that's the whole idea. Is I'm fortunate enough to get where I am. Maybe I can help someone take off and even pass me, and I'd be fine with that. So that if I can contribute in some way to someone's growth, it's a positive and meaningful thing.
Of course.
But it's hard for me to check out new streamers because almost all the time I get some kind of a whisper, or sometimes someone will look over and be like, "Hey, InsertCoinTheater," and I haven't even said anything in chat.
You're just like, well,
nope,
don't want to deal with that.
Yep. It's like if they hit follow, thank you for a follow, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, sure.
Set up your bot right, get good timers, set up meaningful and smart commands like, you know, your gamer tag, Twitter, YouTube, because people will try to just spam those and will not spam them, but they will hit them occasionally just to see if you have it there. And that's a free engagement. Someone hits exclamation point YT or exclamation point YouTube in your chat and your YouTube link goes, you may have just gotten a subscriber. So it's just having it available, making sure it's set up right, and don't go too crazy with you know, trying to make super complex things, because that can come with my stuff can be a little intimidating to new folks, but as they get into the flow of it, because my community is there, they help socialize other people into the ways of the stream. So all the games and, you know, all the weird stuff that's there, they learn via proximity. If you're a new streamer, don't overdo it. If you make it too complex, people are like, "I'm confused." And then you find yourself explaining it more often than actually getting. I think that's my biggest advice. Is
well said. I'm sure that's going to be helpful to somebody out there. Hopefully, a lot of people out there. And this has all been great advice. I'm really happy with just how much concentrated expertise you were able to channel. It was amazing. I can't thank you enough for jumping on this call with me. We will have to keep in touch about all the cool things that we're up to recently. We've got a lot of really cool things in the pipeline, and you and all of our Mixer best friends are the people that we're doing it with. So we're always excited to chat with you. Feel free to hit us up anytime. Before I let you go, what are the main plugs that you would like to put in? I can put the links all around your head if you like, or all around my head, or basically wherever. What's best?
Across my face, whatever. I don't care.
There you go.
It'll look better if there's words across.
Should I just do just Mixer? What's best for you?
So you can find me on Mixer at mixer.com/InsertCoinTheater, and you can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/InsertCoinTim, because InsertCoinTheater is a little too long. But if you go to my Mixer, all the links are there. It's got my Twitter, my YouTube, my Facebook, everything. But Twitter and Mixer are the easiest ways to find me and get my content.
Perfect. So, all right, hit him up, InsertCoinTheater. It's an amazing stream. That's our first-hand word. You trust us. We know it's an awesome stream. It's super interactive. I
appreciate it.
And Tim will say hi to you if you follow him or do one of the crazy things. You should try it. All right, Tim. Well, thanks. We'll catch up again soon. And it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, it's been good. Have a good one.
Cheers.